We are going to be talking about mudrooms and command centers. Now, I say mudroom like super loose. You see, I'm in my mudroom, but my mudroom also is, ready? You're going to go on a little tour. My office. Wait, this is like a bit, there we go. It's also my office. So it's not like 100% like, oh, I have this one room solely for all of our jackets and everything. We created this space so that we could have space for jackets and backpacks and shoes and all of that, but it also is a multifunctional room. And I think that's really important because when you hear the word mudroom, you think you need a designated space, but really you just need some area in your home that can kind of be your dumping ground for backpacks and shoes and jackets. So you need all of those things in one central area. Sometimes it's a closet. I have set up closets in the front hall for families who don't have a space that they can really like turn into a mud area, I guess is a better word. I'm still gonna call it a mud room. So I kind of broke it down into 3 different sections of like a mud room. The first is all about hanging. Make sure that you have ample space for hooks. They are your best friend. For us, the way we set it up, everybody has their own cubby with lots and lots of hooks. We spaced it out so we can fit jackets and hats and coats and bags, but we have enough space. So we use the sides, we use the back, and I love making sure we have ample space for that. I know Stephanie, my amazing organizer that's over here, she has set up mud rooms. Whenever she does, she says take your jacket and like make sure you have ample space for all of your coats on your hooks. I think that's so key because sometimes we can like stick the hooks really close together and then one of them is like not usable. So really think about how you set up your hooks. Another thing, I have one client, they don't have a lot of wall space for hooks, but they found there are 4 hooks and they spread out. That was a perfect solution for their space. They were able to get 4 different hooks on like one little bracket. Multi-prong hooks, those are perfect. Or like sometimes those like octopus hooks, you know, that look like a crazy octopus. Those can work really well too if you don't have as much wall space. Also, creating some closet type space to hang jackets and everything. I know it's, you know, this is really nice just to like hang up your stuff, but sometimes that's not always the case. So use, like if you have to turn a closet into a mudroom, make sure you have solid hooks, like really thick hooks, especially for like heavy jackets. And you could also use lower space. If you use 3M hooks for kids, then it's easy just to remove it and like move it up. If their jacket is like small right now, you gave them something to hang up, but as they grow, it's not permanent. You can just pull the hook off and then you can move it up as their jacket gets longer so it's not like hanging on the floor. Backpacks and bags. I like them hanging up if you're able to, but not everybody has the space. I have one client, she does not have a lot of wall space between like windows and doors. She has very little wall space. So we created, in her closet is where all the jackets are hung up along with shoes, but all of her kids needed a spot for their backpacks. So we found this giant bin at Home Goods and we made sure it was like big enough to hold the 3 backpacks and bags for like sports. And that is their like dumping ground where they can dump the backpacks. And it's very like streamlined and easy for everybody to follow. So yesterday, Bridget from Unclutter It was sharing her tips for creating routines, and that was one of the things that she talked about, which I loved. I thought it was great, you know, set that rule and like that's where things go, and just expect that from your family. Like when you come in, this is where your stuff goes. All right, then shoes. They are always in the way, right? So we have like a shoe storage like this. One thing I wish we would have done, so I can fit like 2 of my shoes back like this. We can't with my husband's. And if I would do this over again, 100% would have laid out his shoes and would have been like, okay, I need it this long. Seriously, something to consider if you are installing some sort of cubby system, if you want some storage for shoes, if you think, oh great, this is perfect, you know, for my kids, what about the bigger shoes? And your kids will be getting bigger, their shoes will be getting bigger, so plan for the future with that. I always kind of go a little deeper. I have a lot of closet companies that I've used, but sometimes they don't always think about that practical aspect. They're like, oh, this is like standard. You don't always want standard. Think about how it's actually going to be used. Super important. And then bins versus shelving. I honestly think it depends on your family and what you can kind of like expect from them. I have some clients who like they expect their kids to put it in a bin and that's just how it is. I have some that, you know, a bin is too confusing. They have too many shoes. So they needed, you know, a shelving system that would work for them, which is great. I have a couple of ideas for boots. So one thing I do, I have like a little setup. Okay, you're turning. Over there, that's where I keep my boots that are not wet. So in our garage, I have a boot tray, and that's where I keep like all the kids' wet boots, my wet boots, all of that. Also, here, you're coming again. Okay, so this is my daughter's, and I keep her tall boots just right in her cubby, like right on top. It works really well for her because this is her one area. So like for her, when she comes home, she's supposed to take her backpack and jacket, and it all just gets like set right here. I hang it up on the hook because that's me, but she has this specific area, and like this is where all of her stuff go. All her shoes, everything are here, and I like to keep it, especially for young kids, keep it all together. It just simplifies things for them so that they can actually keep up with the system. Or another piece with boots, like I do, like sometimes they're just out in the garage. I know it's not always like perfect and it doesn't always look like Instagram or Pinterest worthy, but sometimes you just got to do what's functional and what works for your family more so than make it look pretty. And having a tray out in the garage usually is the best option, especially if you're in like, you know, anywhere that gets snow, because, you know, it's always a mess. Especially even with like guests and stuff coming over in the winter months, if you're, you know, in somewhere that gets snow, or just even like rain boots or any of that, keeping a boot tray by the front door, even keep it in your front hall closet, and when you know you have guests coming, then you can just pull it out, and then they have a designated spot. Sorry, my dog is nuts. Then they have a designated spot where they can put boots and those things without like mudding up your floor or your rug. And then when it's not in use, you have a spot for it, like a home. That's been my big thing, especially with like, you know, the boots and stuff. In like a bin, I usually keep all my flip-flops. You can fit a lot of pairs, like all the way this way. Those clear plastic shoe boxes are perfect. You can usually fit, if you have, like, I have small feet, so I can usually fit about like 6 or 7 pairs like this in the shoe boxes. These are Y bins from Target. The clear shoe boxes, Container Store, you know I love the Container Store. They have those, and they all fit like that. The bins for the gear, like the sunscreen, and right now my son loves hats, all the hats, like the winter gear. My main goal is to make it as easy as possible for you to get out the door in the morning. In order to do that, set up bins that they can just like grab and go. We keep like once now that it's like cold, these bins will just be out on their little cubby area so that they can just grab whatever they need, put it in their backpack, put it on. I give each individual kid and myself and my husband, we each have our own. We don't like group it based on hats or gloves. It's honestly, this is Adleigh's, and this is all of her stuff, and it always goes here. I want to make it as simple and easy as possible, because if you know, I'm not a morning person, and getting out the door is like probably one of the hardest things I have to do in the morning. And so anything I can do to streamline that, I've set the system up for clients. We've used benches and just like lined up all the bins like this, 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kid, mom, dad, and just boom, your stuff is just there. And your rule is put it here when you come home or when you're done. And if it's not, that's on you. And honestly, I've been doing this with my kids since my daughter was like 2.5. Like, that was her responsibility. You know, she needed to put it away. And so I wanted to make it as easy as possible. We have cabinet space above. We built this in purposefully. Again, like I said, if you are customizing or creating a mudroom area, think about it practically. What do you want to make sure you store? All my sunscreen and bug spray and all of that stuff, I store in a bin. Love what you see? Don't forget to subscribe. New videos every Wednesday.